it is better to be feared than loved. If you cannot be both. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims for his deceptions. War should be the only study of a prince. He should consider peace only as a breathing time, which gives him leisure to contrive, and furnishes as ability to execute military plans. The wise man does at once what the fool does finally.
All courses of action are risky, so prudence is not in avoiding danger. It's impossible, but calculating risk and acting decisively. There is no avoiding war. It can only be postponed to the advantage of others. He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command. A prince must imitate the fox and the lion, for the lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. The ends justify the means. It is better to be impetuous than cautious, because fortune is a woman, and if you want to keep her under, you must beat her and batter her. Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see, and few can feel. Everyone sees what you appear to be, few really know what you are. I'm not interested in preserving the status quo, I want to overthrow it. A prince who is not wise himself will never take good advice. The prince must be a lion, but he must also know how to play the fox. There are three kinds of intelligence. One kind understands things for itself. The other appreciates what others can understand. The third understands neither for itself nor through others. The one who adapts his policy to the times prospers, and likewise that the one whose policy clashes with the demands of the times does not. The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. The first method of estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. If an injury has to be done to a man, it should be so severe that his vengeance need not be feared. Politics have no relation to morals. It is better to live one day as a lion than 100 years as a sheep. Never was anything great achieved without danger. If injury that is to be done to a man ought to be of such a kind that one does not stand in fear of revenge. The greatest remedy for anger is delay. The strength of a united people is far greater than the individual strength of its parts. He who is blinded by ambition raises himself to a position whence he cannot mount higher, must thereafter fall with the greatest loss. One change always leaves the way open for the establishment of others. It is necessary for him who lays out a state and arranges laws for it to presuppose that all men are evil and that they are always going to act according to the wickedness of their spirits. Whenever they have free scope, he who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command. A return to first principles in a republic is sometimes caused by the simple virtues of one man. His good example has such an influence that the good men strive to imitate him, and the wicked are ashamed to lead a life so contrary to his example. A prince must have no other objective, no other thought, nor take up any profession but that of war. Fortune is a river, and you must swim with it until you reach the other side. Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception. The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. Men in general judge more from appearances than from reality. All men have eyes, but few have the gift of penetration. It is much more secure to be feared than to be loved. The one who adapts his policy to the times prospers, and likewise that the one whose policy clashes with the demands of the times does not. The best fortress which a prince can possess is the affection of his people. Injuries should be done all at one time, so that, being tasted less, they offend less. Benefits should be given little by little, so that the flavor of them may last longer. One ought to be both feared and loved. But as it is difficult for the two to go together, it is much safer to be feared than loved. Politics have no relation to morals. It is better to be impetuous than cautious, because fortune is a woman, and if you want to keep her under, you must beat her and batter her. The wise man does at once what the fool does finally. The art of war is not in destroying an enemy's army, but in preventing the enemy from fighting. All great acts are risky, and there is no way to avoid them. Prudence is in assessing the risks and acting accordingly. A wise ruler should never keep all his eggs in one basket. It is better to be hated for what you are than loved for what you are not. The prince who relies upon their words, without having otherwise provided for their security, is ruined.